Hello everyone, my name is Carly. I'm an Ishaya monk, full-time freelance graphic artist as well, and I get to do things in different parts of the world. And I wanted to share a little bit today about my journey and some of the things that really inspire me about what I do and why I do them. As a kid, and I'm sure many of you can relate with this, I loved drawing, I loved painting, I loved creating things and doing artwork. And for me, that space, that zone of creating was kind of like a sacred space. It was somewhere I could go and just explore and let all my worries go and just see what happened and go with the flow. And in that space there was nothing wrong, you know. It was just a place of pure exploration and joy for me as well. I remember as I started to get older and you know, the concerns of the world started to come in, that space started to feel like it was harder and harder to access, harder to find. I was very fortunate to be able to go to art school, and I remember, I've never told anyone this before, but I remember watching an interview with one of my favourite guitarists from my favourite rock band at the time. And he was talking, the interviewer was asking him, you know, like, how do you play so good? Where does that creativity come from? What do you do to access that place? And what he said really struck me. He said, I just get out of the way, I hear angels and they just move through me. Hearing that, it was like a punch in the gut. Like something in me thought, you know, I remember that place as a kid. What is that? How do I access that? Again, you know, listening to people like Leonard Cohen and David Lynch being interviewed on creativity, and this kind of transcendental experience that they were talking about, and how they recognized that when they were out of the way, you know, the magic would start to happen. But every time I asked someone, what does that mean to be out of the way? Nobody could give me an answer. Nobody could really explain what that is and how to get there. But I knew there was something in that, and I was really curious. I love the word genius. You know, I think kind of culturally now we kind of think of genius as, you know, I'm the genius that created this. It's an individual that did this. But I discovered that the Latin root of the word genius is the word genie. If I'm correct, the ancient Greeks believed that the genie would visit people and bestow on them this kind of creative power, and the genius would come out of them. And in that way, you know, no one individual owned the genius. It was just something that moved through people collectively. And that always stayed with me as well, because again, I felt like I was getting glimpses of that at art school. You know, you'd get out of the way and something bigger would move through, and that was exciting. That really kind of continued to get me curious. When I left art school, I kind of had this big journey with my physical health and my physical body, and suddenly I discovered that I was living in a world where I couldn't do anything. You know, I could no longer create in the way that I thought I should be in the world. And for me at the time, that was terrifying, because that felt like my purpose in the world had been taken away. Now, very thankfully, that journey of having physical health challenges kind of made me kind of cast the net even wider and explore things that I never thought I would explore. And ultimately that brought me to the Ishaya monks and learning ascension meditation. And from that point, I almost measure my life before ascension and after ascension, because the contrast was so sharp. You know, for me, it wasn't just about, you know, accessing this kind of endless pool of creativity that I knew was inside me, but I couldn't quite access and was kind of feeling more and more frustration around. But it was living the biggest version of myself in the world. You know, I had this kind of instinct that those two things for me were connected in some way, and how could I access that more? How could I just kind of become so intimate with this life that I was living, that all of me could come out? Again, you know, this incredible process of meeting the Ishayas and my health issues starting to dissolve. I found all this creativity and this access to this creativity kind of effortlessly coming back. But my relationship with it had changed as well. You know, I recognized that I no longer had to just sit at a desk and draw to access that there was this, suddenly this door had opened and I could access it whenever I wanted. You know, be it doing the dishes or writing an email or going for a walk or being with friends. That space of being out of the way was kind of possible all the time. And actually how living your life from that place is so effortless and so full of grace and magic and synchronicity. And it's almost like this kind of this secret. You know, I had 6 years in higher education in some of the best art schools in the world, and not once did anyone ever mention the word creativity. You know, to me that was just crazy. But through the practice of ascension, I've been able to explore, you know, what does that mean to me, and what can I give the world through my creativity as well. Yeah, I guess my invitation, if I had one, to anyone watching this is, what's your creativity? You know, what would you like to put out in the world? And I don't believe there's any right or wrong, and certainly for me, it never usually looks how I think it's going to look either. But what a joy to be able to live in the flow of that, and to be able to give from that place of free-flowing kind of movement of energy going out into the world. And the joy that I get of seeing the impact that has as well. It's that intimacy with the present moment that allows me to have that experience, and it's only through, you know, sitting down, closing my eyes and playing with the ascension attitudes that I found a way of being able to explore that, and as a result, you know, life is more amazing and more mystical than I ever could have imagined.